Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here with us this morning. Very fascinating topic to me, and there's also some transfer over with the core to the Energy and Water Subcommittee I sit on. Mr. Hamilton, Mrs. Bice stole the question I was going to ask you because I know in your testimony you talked about statutory changes needed. I'd love to follow up with you further on some of those, but I know, Mr. Martin, looked like you were chomping at the bit to hop in there too. From the Corps' perspective, what are some statutory changes we can do to assist you with this process?
So Mr. Hamilton referred to getting construction contractors involved early in the process, and we can do that within federal acquisition regulations, but sometimes we have to really contort ourselves to make that. So we have ECI contracts and what we refer to as IDAC contracts, integrated design and construction contracts, but it does require a lot of extra contract administration and extra hoops to jump through. So other transactional authorities, we have a MilCon construction pilot for all the services for OTAs. Again, it goes back to that comment, the more flexibility we have, just like when if we tell a contractor exactly what we want, we're gonna get what we ask for. If we tell them the requirements that we need, then we get those new ideas. The same is true on the acquisition side for NAVFAC and USACE. You know, the more decision space we have and flexibility, the more innovative we can be in bringing those to bear. So I would say right now we can't really do progressive design bid build, which is a common delivery method in industry within the constraints that we have other than through an OTA. So that would be an example.
Okay. I look forward to following up with both of you and working with staff. So if we can, there's specific things we can do to assist in that process, and we need to do it. Let's see, Mr. Richardson, you talked about DOD needing a roadmap. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How can we assist in that, and what would that look like?
Thank you, Congressman, for that question. So the roadmap that we envision would look like the National Defense Science and Technology Strategy. So that strategy identifies critical technologies for national defense. Commercial industry leads the way in the development of those technologies. Those technologies are shared. That's the strategy is you can look it up on the internet. And because those are shared and available, we see academia, we see the Department of Defense, and we see industry innovating in that space. So something similar to that, but for MilCon, which would include the identification of technologies that would be critical to improving MilCon performance, would be what I recommend.
Okay, great. And we look forward to working with you on something like that as well. Mr. Healy, thank you for your presentation. I was not familiar with what you're doing, and I'd love to learn more. I'd love to get a deeper dive on it. Sounds like you've figured out the better and the faster at scale. Will this be cheaper? Seems like it would be, just with all the problems it solves.
So we expect that upfront cost will be more than a conventional diesel generator, but then it really comes down to what's your ROI, what's your payback, and there's two key advantages that we're offering. So one is that improved efficiency, which means you're just going to use less fuel, which is the majority of cost of operating a generator is the fuel that goes into it. And then the second is the lower maintenance. So we're finding that depends on the industry. Actually, in military applications where fuel is very expensive, in some instances, it's going to mean you're going to have a faster payback. But in normal industries, we're seeing it's in a few years that you actually break over and it's a positive return on your investment.
Do you feel that government contracting is set up to allow for the long-range horizon view, or is it just an up cost, whoever's cheapest to produce gets it? I mean, do you feel that we factor ROI into as we evaluate different options?
I'm probably not the best to comment on it at this stage, just because of where we are, where we just have moved into the commercialization phase of things. Up to now, it's been more of the development phase working with the Navy. But one thing to share is additive manufacturing, 3D printing, it's new, right? And so if the military is going to demand volume of these type of solutions, that means the suppliers need to go out and procure 3D printers, set those up, and that process can take over a year to do. And so any vision or any kind of visibility into the horizon of demand and volumes is extremely helpful, because this isn't just hire contractors to go build it. This is go buy new machines, new equipment that will be better at manufacturing.
Okay. Okay. Carno likes cold, so how about the moon or Mars?
Yeah, so outer space is something that's on the theoretical. We think it can be done, but time will tell. We got to get things deployed here in the U.S. first.
Roger. Thanks. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.